Hello there, this is Network Africa. Coming up on the program, hashtag Uganda decides. It's D-Day and Ugandans head to the polls to either retain President Museveni or choose a new one. Then Kenya claims an Al-shabab intelligence chief is killed in an airstrike, but Al-shabab says it's nothing but a lie. And later on, a Ghana crash leaves at least 53 people dead. The death toll could climb. We're thrilled to have you join us on Network Africa Live on Channels Television with me, Cynthia Are. It's the day all Ugandans have been waiting for, the day when they go out to vote. Despite a 5-hour delay in the exercise, there was a huge turnout on the part of the electorate. Uganda's #1 citizen has also cast his vote in today's exercise. In order to prevent further use of social media to influence voters or sway the electorate, the Electoral Commission also ordered the shutdown of the media. However, Ugandans have defied the call, and hashtag Uganda decides is still trending on Twitter. Many people have found ways to get around the block by using internet proxies known as virtual private networks. The exercise appears to be relatively peaceful so far, with the presence of authorities, but news has surfaced that voting had to be cancelled in one polling station after clashes surfaced. For more on what's going on in Uganda, we're joined by Oriang Nelson for more on the details. I'm being told that we will try to connect with him in just a moment, but for now, let's just take you through what has happened on the eve of this much anticipated general elections going on in Uganda, specifically what the opposition had to say about the polls.
Kizza Besigye is renowned for being a long-time opposition leader who has lost 3 previous elections. Today's vote is expected to be the toughest challenge President Yoweri Museveni has faced in his 30-year rule. On the eve of the election, Besigye sent an indirect threat to the ruling party in the event of any fraudulent activity.
Consider that this election is fraudulent to the extent that we reject the outcome. We shall do so. We shall make that recommendation to them. But this is what we found. We don't consider that this election is something that we can respect. We therefore reject its outcome, and we do so together. And we therefore chart the way forward. Like we've said, in 2011, we started a defiance campaign. In 2011, not now. We would then say, we have to continue with our defiance campaign. It would just be a continuation of the defiance campaign. And defiance really means that we don't cooperate with the regime. We don't cooperate. We continue to demonstrate against its actions and so on and so forth until delegitimize it. We'll delegitimize it until the regime succumbs to the will of the people.
In a similar move to rid Uganda of any fraudulent activity during the voting process, rights groups have called on President Museveni to disband his Crime Preventers program, a loose group of citizens estimated to number in the tens of thousands, saying the group is affiliated with the ruling National Resistance Movement NRM party and has carried out assaults. The chairman of the Electoral Commission also confirmed on the eve of the election that he had received tips that leaders were planning to form youth brigades, vigilantes and militias.
The Electoral Commission has continued to receive information that some political leaders, as well as individuals contesting for various elected positions, are still planning to form security groups known as youth brigades, vigilantes, militias. The Commission wishes to reiterate that it is only the Ugandan police which is in charge of providing security during polling. all candidates are urged to desist from forming any parallel groups.
Political observers predict that Museveni, aged 71, a Western ally who came to power in 1986, will win. But no one can deny that this election is way different from previous races because of the size and enthusiasm of crowds at opposition rallies. Besigye served as Museveni's personal doctor in the early 1980s and is now challenging him for the fourth time. He is wildly popular in urban areas. Museveni's ally turned challenger, former Prime Minister Amama Mbabazi, is meanwhile hoping to siphon away support from disaffected members of Museveni's party. But Museveni's message of slow but steady progress appears to still resonate strongly among rural voters, and analysts say he has built a patronage system where much of Uganda's bureaucracy feels indebted to the president.
But for more on how things are playing out on this highly anticipated day, we go live to Uganda, where journalist Oyang Nelson is standing by. Oyang, thank you very much for joining us on this special day. Now, how are things going?
Thank you for hosting me again.
Yes, thank you very much. How are things going today?
Well, I'd like to say the Electoral Commission honestly did not live up to what they promised Ugandans and nationals. On voting today, there's been registered a lot of disorganization, including basically ballot boxes and papers arriving at very many polling stations very late, as late as 2 p.m. We've had several delays. We've had basically it's been a mess. Like we've had to the Electoral Commission has had to postpone they've had to extend voting time to 7 p.m. They've had to move voting for one particular polling station to they do not know when. It's basically been a disappointment.
Now, Oyang, do you know what led to the clashes that caused one voting to be cancelled in one particular polling station that we heard of?
Pardon?
I'm asking what happened at a polling station where the voting exercise was cancelled, if you have the information.
Well, what happened was initially the ballot boxes arrived extremely late, and the presidential ballot papers were not available on the list that arrived. There was no in the ballot boxes. There was no presidential ballot papers. There was only member of parliament. So that on top of this list, the voters are angry. They run into the officials. Take the ballot boxes from them and rip out all the ballot papers that were taken to the polling station. So the disorganization, the demonstration begins from there, and up to about 30 minutes ago, the demonstration was still alive and kicking.
Well, Oyang, thank you so much for giving us the latest from Uganda. We appreciate your time as always. Thank you. Well, just as you heard what Oyang had to say, the voting exercise continues until 7 p.m. local time. But if you'd like to keep up with what's going on in Uganda, feel free to check the hashtag Uganda Decides on Twitter, and you should get the latest as regards the breaking news and what's happening with the polls. That's where you should get all the information you desire to find there.